Hi, everyone. This is Connie Szabo Schmucker. I'm Advocacy Director at Bicycle Garage Indy. Welcome to Spotlight on Bicycling. I am joined by Sonya Seybert, and she's going to be talking about the Ride of Silence that's coming up in 2 days on Wednesday, May 18th. And then later, we're going to have Damon Richards from Bike Indianapolis join us and talk about some of the other activities that are happening this month. This is Bike Month. May is National Bike Month. So there are a lot of activities going on. The Ride of Silence, there's Bike to Work Day, there's Bike to the 500. And they're also going to touch, even though it's not in Bike Month, but it's next month, is the Major Taylor Invitational, which is pretty exciting. It's first ever invitational for Major Taylor Cycling Club's National Invitational. So that's exciting too. So I think I will go ahead and turn this over to Sonya. She's going to talk about the upcoming Ride of Silence and also why she got involved with the Ride of Silence. So I'm going to turn this over to you.
Thank you, Connie, for this opportunity to talk about the Ride of Silence. I know there's a lot going on for Bike Month, but my name is Sonya Seybert, and I am on the Ride of Silence Planning Committee with Dolly Kraft and John South and Connie Szabo Schmucker. I am an avid cyclist and an accidental advocate. So to help you kind of understand why this ride is important to me, let me explain how I got here. So I grew up spending summers with a lot of cousins. It wasn't uncommon for us to get locked outside or sent outside to play. And we didn't have electronics to keep us busy. So we had to figure out other ways to entertain ourselves until it was more of an acceptable time for us to be inside, which was after the sun went down. So I remember spending hours on our bikes, going around the block to the local convenience store, to friends' houses. And then as a young adult and a new mother, I lived in Broad Ripple near the Monon Trail. So I would strap my kids to the back of the bike and we would head out for some fresh air. So not only was this a great exercise to try to lose some of that extra baby weight, but a pleasant side effect was the kids would often fall asleep on the bike and wake up in a good mood. So as they got older and were not as interested in hanging out with mom, I still would get on my bike and get out as time permitted. So as life took a few turns, my cycling went to the wayside. Then in 2020, as the whole world was bracing for a complete shutdown to stop the spread of COVID-19, I knew being locked inside my house would be extremely detrimental to my mental health. So I bought a bike and one for my son. And that first ride just made me remember how much I loved it. My enthusiasm prompted my mom to buy a bike, and then my daughter and my sister and other members of my family. So it was just a great way for us to stay connected, follow social distancing requirements, and also be healthy. So cycling had become a family affair. Since then, I've become a member of several cycling clubs, and now I ride often for pleasure, leisure, sport, recreation, and fitness. On July 18 of 2020, my daughter decided that she wanted to get some distance in. She wanted to attempt 20 miles, which was going to be her longest ride to date. So we loaded up our bikes and drove to the Monon Trail 75th Street trailhead and decided to head north for 10 miles before turning around. The ride was going great. That is, right until we were near the end of the ride. So at the 86th and Monon Street intersection, we made sure that the signal was turned to allow pedestrians to cross and proceeded to ride across. When my daughter Jasmine took the lead, with me following behind her, a driver ignored the signal and road markings for pedestrians and overshot their stop at a pretty high rate of speed. They narrowly avoided hitting her. So we were in proper gear, including our helmets, we had reflective clothing, we had our lights on and obeyed all of the traffic signals. On this particular day, my bike camera was actually rolling to catch the incident. So I'm going to share with you what that looked like, and you'll see that really within, I would say, another second, it could have been a tragic incident. So let me just share this really quickly. So yeah, as you can see, that was really close. And if we had not had to stop there for a second, it would have been a completely different situation. So fortunately, we walked away with no injuries. But sadly, that's not the case for everybody. And that's why I wanted to be involved in the Ride of Silence. So I'm starting to introduce my granddaughter to cycling. And I really want the roads to be safe for her and others of, every age to be able to enjoy. So the Ride of Silence is a worldwide event. It's held on the third Wednesday of May to honor those cyclists who were injured and killed on public roads. Last year, 405 locations participated, which included 44 states, 11 countries, 5 continents. The ride, which is held during National Bike Month, aims to raise awareness to motorists, police, city officials, and cyclists that we have a legal right to the public roadways. The ride is also a chance to show respect for and honor the lives of those who have been killed or injured. The Indianapolis Ride will highlight that 86th and Mona intersection where infrastructure improvements are greatly needed. That's where our near miss happened, and also the site of a fatality, which was Frank Radiker just 7 months ago. So the route is going to start from Bicycle Garage Indy North, head west on 82nd, 86th Street to Monon and 86th, and then return. Helmets and lights are required. Participants are encouraged to wear high-vis yellow jackets or vests. There are a limited number of yellow vests that will be available to borrow. And we encourage anybody who is driving to carpool. Registration is required, which we'll drop the link to that in the chat. And you can also find it on Facebook, which also has the registration link. The Ride of Silence is free, and it just asks that cyclists ride no faster than 12 miles per hour, wear your helmets, and follow the rules of the road. It's also to be conducted completely silent. So we're going to gather at Bicycle Garage Indy North at 6:30 p.m. We'll read the Ride of Silence poem, have a few announcements, and then give people an opportunity to pick up their yellow safety vest to borrow. Many of our federal, state, and local elected officials have been invited to attend the Ride of Silence and support and advocate for a safer road for cyclists. So how can you help? Register, attend, get the word out, and be more mindful as a motorist. So again, thank you, Connie, for inviting me here and allowing me to share that information.
Thank you very much, Sonya, and especially for all of your work. Sonya has contacted the elected officials, and we have one city county council where Allie Brown, who has committed to coming, as well as State Senator Fady Kadora, who's committed to coming to the event. And we haven't heard from everyone else, but those are the two that definitely are coming. We also have WTHR TV station, Channel 13, that is going to be coming and covering the event. I was interviewed, me and Scott Helvey, the owner of Bicycle Garage Indy, were both interviewed last week, and that interview is going to be shown on Wednesday morning, and then they're going to cover the event. I don't know whether it's going to be live or they're going to tape it and then show it later, but they are coming out Wednesday evening for the event. So we'll have some video of that. Bicycle Garage Indy is also going to be having a GoPro video going on during the event itself, and some photography going on. So we'll be sharing that afterwards. So if you're not able to come to the event, we'll have video of it. So, and we'll be sharing that on social media as well. And besides the fact that Bicycle Garage Indy's employee Frank Radiker was killed at that intersection by on his way to work. That was his normal route. He rode every day to work for 25 years, and he was killed at that intersection. So it's personal for us to have this event, for Bicycle Garage Indy to be involved with this event. But I also personally had 2 near incidences myself this past week. I was riding quiet neighborhood road that I always ride in on my normal routes, and a school bus was approaching an intersection. I had the right of way. I didn't have a stop sign. They did. They didn't stop at the stop sign, and I had to take evasive action in order to not get hit by the school bus. 2 blocks from that intersection, the next day, I was at a 4-way stop. There was a car approaching the stop sign. I had already stopped, and I was going through the intersection, and the car did not stop at all at the stop sign and almost hit me. And I had to yell at the driver to get their attention, and they did stop. But ironically, as I was, recovering from that incident and riding along, continuing on the road, an oncoming motorist decided to yell at me for not stopping at the stop sign, even though it was the other motorist that didn't stop at the stop sign and nearly hit me. So there's definitely a need for, one of the reasons why Ride of Silence exists is the unfortunate injuries and fatalities that happen when people are out riding. But it's also to raise awareness that we have the right, bicyclists have the rights to be on the road. One of the reasons why we have chosen 86th and 82nd Street is it's a busy corridor that people do use. It's one of the few places you can cross by bicycle, cross the White River. It's a busy intersection, or busy road, but people do use it by bike. And we have the rights to do that, and also to raise awareness of the 86th and Monon intersection. There's a small group, a cadre of folks that are working on some ideas for some tactical urbanism, some temporary fixes that hopefully can be permanent, as well as raise awareness for the need for a tunnel or a bridge at that intersection, which is the long-term goal. So we will have at the Ride of Silence, we'll have some places where people can sign up to get involved with those efforts. If you're seeing this video and can't come to the Ride of Silence, just drop me, I'll put my email in there, drop me an email, and we'll put you on the list. I'll send you the link to the form to sign up if you're interested in that. So, the Ride of Silence is to raise awareness, but raising awareness isn't going to get that intersection fixed. So we want to get the intersection fixed so that it's safe for all the trail users who cross there. There are 30,000 cars every day that go on 86th Street there. There's 2 million people a year who use the Monon, and that's one of the busiest spots for the Monon. So there's, at least anywhere from 5,000 to 15,000 people a day, and especially in busy summer days, at that intersection waiting to cross, trail users waiting to cross. And it's, we've been looking at pictures of that intersection, and and I've driven by it several times recently to check out the route. And there's really no sign that there's a trail crossing there at all. I mean, you have no idea that there's people waiting to cross. You have no idea that there might be people on bikes that would cross. There's very little signage. There's no, there's things that can be done to make that intersection better for everyone. So this is, the Ride of Silence is highlighting that. That's not the only place in Indianapolis, obviously, that needs to be fixed, but that is the one that we're focusing on right now, and lessons that we learn from this intersection, either tactical urbanism or community involvement or community engagement, we hopefully will be able to use at other intersections around the city and other hotspots that need to be fixed for the safety of bicyclists and pedestrians. So that, anyway, so hopefully people can come out to Ride of Silence, and we hope to see you there. And if not, if you want to get involved, I'll put my email in the chat, and also we'll put a link to the form once this is uploaded onto social media, so that we can gather people who are interested in helping make that intersection better. So, and with that, Sonya, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, that wrapped it up for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I see that Damon has joined us. There are lots of other activities that are going on during Bike Month. So, Ride of Silence is coming up in 2 days, but then we have Bike to Work Day on Friday. There's Bike to the 500 on the 29th of May. And then there's also the National Major Taylor Meetup. And Damon's going to talk about all 3 of those. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Okay. I'm not available by video. I just got back from a really quick ride with first of our community rides this season at the Garfield Park Library. And we'll be having more of those going on all around town. But coming up, Friday, Bike to Work Day, we have definite commitments for 4 bike trains. The routes to get downtown are posted. You can go to the Bike Indianapolis website, click on the events button, and there's a calendar entry for Bike to Work Day. There's also an entry for a Bike to Work Day event that is happening in Carmel, if you live up there or work up there, so you can participate in that as well. We're asking people to come downtown, even if you're not going back to work. Ride your bike downtown, have a light breakfast, listen to some speeches, and ride back home. It's time to get out. It's beautiful weather, and we've been cooped up for 2 years. So join us for Bike to Work Day downtown on the Circle Friday morning. The event officially starts at 7 a.m. We'll have speakers at about 7:45, and you can stay until about 9. So it's also yet another attempt to shut down the Circle from traffic, which one of my lifetime goals is to have the Circle be traffic free. But at least for a few hours, we'll have it. And if you've got nothing else to do on Friday, you can hang out and participate or be a spectator for the Handlebar Hot Laps, which is the handlebar bike races that are a part of the 500 Forward activities. Okay.
Hey, Damon, real quick, I signed up to be a volunteer on Friday morning, and I haven't heard anything else. If I just show up at 7 o'clock, will somebody tell me what to do?
Yes, in fact, you should show up at 6:30 and we'll tell you what to do.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. I need to reach out to my volunteers. May is a terrible month for me because it's Bike Month and it's Race Month. And then piled on top of that is the Major Taylor Invitational this year. So I'm woefully behind on everything I'm supposed to do, and I apologize.
Yeah, I've got the info up
Yeah.
from the ride calendar. Hopefully everybody can see that. the screen.
Those routes put together by Connie on Rsvp. So you can ride on your own, you can ride with friends. There are a handful that we know are going to be organized rides, and they're listed down there. Plainfield, Greenwood, the Northeast Side, the Boy Scout headquarters, BGI North, and Indy Cycle Specialists will all have a ride leader to lead the group in. The other routes, you may or may not find somebody waiting there to start. So just ride on in. Also,
those are on Rsvp. So if you join Rsvp, it's free to join. You'll get turn-by-turn instructions. So even if there isn't a ride leader, you should be able to follow the route.
right. And also, this will be essentially the first bike and breakfast of the year. And we're kind of gauging attendance at Bike to Work Day to determine if we're going to continue bike and breakfast monthly going forward. So another incentive for you to come out there and participate on Friday is it'll motivate us to get the bike and breakfast going again. Okay, now moving on to Bike to the 500. 2 years ago, there was no Bike to the 500 because there were no fans at the race. Last year, they had limited fans, so we had a limited Bike to the 500. But this year, we're back in full force. And the interesting thing is, this will be the first year since Roger Penske bought the track that we have full attendance at the race and a full Bike to the 500 event. We have been trying for several years to move the bike parking for Bike to the 500 inside the track and then expand the starting locations to more places around town. So sign up, be a part of Bike to the 500 so we can show Roger Penske that this is a great event and he ought to let us inside. We now have pretty much gotten everybody involved in the Motor Speedway on board except for the owner. So join us. The new thing about this year is we're going to start from the AMP at 16 Tech. Part of that was to avoid a bunch of the downtown road construction. Part of that was to a nod to Indigo because they prefer that our routes not cross the red line route. And part of that was because it makes a really, really convenient way for you to get back from the race because you can come straight across 16th Street and be at the AMP. So there's lots of good reasons to come out and ride this year. So please do it. And there may even be some surprise goodies.
Yeah, and in the future, a couple years from now, the B&O will connect as well.
Yes, it sure will.
So then
we're
it will
hoping
be,
we're hoping by next year.
yeah, hopefully by next year, which will be a really awesome way to get to the track from downtown. So
Yes, it will. And we will ride along. Well, we'll ride across Michigan Street, so you'll see where the B&O is going to connect to Michigan Street, but there's not enough construction done at that part to be a big woohoo. And there'll be bumper to bumper cars in the way as we go rolling by. I think that's it. For those, probably a lot of people aren't familiar with the AMP. The AMP is a food hall at 16 Tech. It has all kinds of food from, traditional American stuff to Venezuelan food and Mexican food and seafood. Many of the vendors will be open that morning to provide breakfast. And they have a great big bar. So those of you who want to start your partying early can do that when you show up. And this will be the last Indy 500 porch party of the year. The porch party program, which is put on by the Harrison Center for the Arts. We're the last porch party in May, but they're going to continue porch parties throughout the summer this year, as opposed to just doing them in May. So you'll be a part of that too. And if you want to ride to the track on your own, you can still park your bikes with us. We do charge a small fee, but your bike will be watched all day.
great.
That's all I got.
All right. So did you want to talk about then the Major Taylor
Okay, this is
Invitational?
not a bike month event because it's happening in June, but as you all probably know, Indianapolis is the hometown of Major Marshall Taylor. um, and Major Taylor cycling clubs, the first one was started in Columbus, Ohio in 1979. And in the 43 years since then, there has never been a national gathering until this year. We're going to host here in Indianapolis, Major's hometown, the first ever national gathering of Major Taylor cycling clubs. You don't have to be a Major Taylor Cycling Club member to participate. It's a 3-day weekend, June 17th, 18th, and 19th. On the 17th, we're doing a Major Taylor historic ride. We're going to visit artwork and historic markers around town that honor Major Taylor. We're also going to visit the locations of some of the places that were important in his life when he lived here. Although none of that stuff has been preserved, we know where his boyhood home was. We know where the bike shop that he got the nickname Major was. And so we're going to visit some of those. Then on Saturday, we're doing traditional distance rides, 31, 50, and 62-mile routes. Mostly Marion County, and we're going to go northwest. And then on Saturday evening, we're going to have a reception at the State Museum where you'll get to see the new 5,000 square foot Major Taylor exhibit. And then on Sunday morning, we're going to do a Juneteenth ride that will start downtown at the Circle and will finish at the Madam C.J. Walker Center. We have riders registered from more than half of the United States. So it's going to be a big gathering, and it's going to have people from all over the country. So it'll be a great time to hang out and network and make some new friends. And if you don't want to ride, we desperately need volunteers. This is a national event, and we need to show them the Hoosier hospitality. So if you can't ride or don't want to ride, please sign up and volunteer. We could use some help across the board, and there's some links to sign up for that. Any questions about any of that stuff?
If you do have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type them in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for right now. And I'm going to try and do.
Sorry, I was muted. And Damon, I have a quick question about Bike to the 500. So I was thinking about doing that, but I don't want to stay for the race. Is there going to be a clear path to bike back?
We do have a few riders that do that. There's not an organized ride back, but if you would just want to come out and ride to the track and ride back, we can point you in the right direction. I can't tell you with other people listening the best route back, but I can tell you that day.
Okay. I forgot Bike to Work was this Friday. I work from home, but I'm near downtown, so I might just make the ride.
You know, I live downtown, and for several years, I would get up in the morning and ride north to meet up with a group of riders to ride downtown, because the ride downtown from my house wasn't long enough.
I'm not too excited to get up that early, but it's one day.
Appreciate it. We'd love to have you.
So I'm putting a bunch of links in the Major Taylor invitation, all the Bike to 500, the Bike to Work Day links, and the Ride of Silence. I'm trying to check if there's any other links that I want to put in. I think. Oh, yeah. So the last link that I'm putting in is to sign up to volunteer for the Major Taylor Invitational. So if you can volunteer as well, as Damon mentioned, we want to make sure that everybody enjoys their time when they get here for the Invitational, which is really exciting. So there's a lot happening in May. May is National Bike Month. As Damon mentioned, there is actually one of the bike commute routes for Friday's bike to work day is actually starting from Bicycle Garage Indy North at 9:30. 9:30. Yeah. No, it'll be done by 9:30.
You'll be late.
They'll
Yeah.
be back by 9:30. I think it's starting at 6:30, either 6:30 or 6:45, something like that.
Yeah.
And they'll be starting from our north location. Abby Wells and Adam Haynes will be leading that. And so they're gonna head down partially down the Monon and then Fall Creek Trail through the neighborhoods and then get downtown to Monument Circle. So I'm probably going to try and hook up with them somewhere along the route. So I'm not going to be leading my normal route that I do from 56th and Emerson. But
But your riders can hook up with
yeah,
the Fall Creek Flyers.
the
as
Fall
they
Creek
come through.
Flyers can stop at Starbucks and pick up anybody who might be there. So it should all work out as long as I can get up early enough.
It will be a challenge for many of us to get up that early.
Yeah, I usually get up about 7:30. So trying to get riding, and it takes me about an hour from the time I get up to the time I'm ready to ride. So I have to get up like at 5:15 in order to make a 6:45.
Oh, wow.
You're gonna have to sleep in your jersey, Connie.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to make sure that everything is put out ahead of time. Everything's packed. Everything's ready to go. And even then, it's going to take me an hour to get ready. But it should all work. Hope, as long as I don't oversleep, I'll be good. So I've looked at the weather for Wednesday and Friday, and hopefully the weather will be very cooperative for Wednesday. If it's not, we'll make a game day change. If you are planning on coming on Wednesday for the Ride of Silence, please RSVP ahead of time so that we don't have to take too much time to have everybody sign in. We'd love to have that already done electronically so that we can just check people off. So if nobody has any additional questions.
I got one, Connie.
Uh-huh.
How does one RSVP for the Ride of Silence?
Okay, so the Ride of Silence, I did put a link.
You got the link?
Yeah, a
Okay.
link in the chat. And you can go to SebaRide.org as well. And there's a link just to go and RSVP. Now to RSVP officially, and this is why I think we're going to get a lot more people than what is showing on, because you have to actually register through Ride with GPS to RSVP. And I have a feeling that people are not doing that.
That'd be my guess.
They're just saying, oh, I'm going to go, or they're saying they're RSVP'd on Facebook or some other way. Yep. Because I've had people who said, oh yeah, I've RSVP'd, and they're not on the
list. Right.
So I'm anticipating we're going to have a lot of people signing in on Wednesday. But well, it'll all work out. So if you haven't RSVP'd through Ride with GPS, then please do so, or plan to come early so that we have plenty of time for people to get signed in. We're going to start at 6:30. We don't start riding at 6:30. Our goal is to have people start rolling, the wheels start rolling by 7. We're going to be doing a presentation and program, and we're going to make the offer to the elected officials who are coming to see if they would like to speak. as well as anybody who's been injured or is a family member of someone who was killed. At the very least, we'll have a moment of silence for those. There were 7 people in Indianapolis who were killed while bicycling in 2021. Normally, there's usually 1 or 2. So it's unprecedented that there were 7 in 2021. There have already been 6 bicyclists hit so far this month alone. I don't know that any of them were fatalities, but there have been 6 bicyclists hit in the first 12 days of May. So it's timely to have this ride to raise awareness as more and more people are bicycling, as weather is nicer, as things are opening up. So we're excited that this ride is going to go off, and hopefully everybody will attend, and we'll have a really nice, safe ride. Anna, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wondered, after Sonya had shared her experience, how many of you guys are riding with cameras on your bike? Is that common that everybody is doing that for the just in case, or how's everybody doing on that?
I have a camera on my bike. Actually, I have a front and rear camera on my bike, and it's been phenomenal and scary, the video that I capture while out riding. And I've had confrontations with motorists, and when I offered to show them the video, the whole tone of the conversation changed. So I love them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I do not have a camera. I have thought about getting one. PGI actually has a GoPro camera that I've thought about testing out and using to see if that's what I want to add to my bike. But
I would recommend against a GoPro simply because battery life is so short on them.
yeah, that was the problem when Zoe and I were doing a video. Basically, we ran out,
Yeah.
in an hour.
What I use, the cameras I use are made by Cycliq, CYCLIQ, and I can ride all day. And they also have lights. The Cycliq cameras have, there's a front and a rear, and they have lights as well. And I can ride all day. Literally, I have recorded 8 hours of video.
What's the name of that again, Damon?
CYCLIQ, Cycliq. Yep, Connie just put it in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually don't ride with mine all the time and the bracket broke, but I do like riding with it just in case.
There have been more and more incidences where the cameras have been used in lawsuits to prove what actually happened. So it is, to give video proof, because oftentimes you don't have that video proof if you don't have the video, obviously. And it's, one person's word against another one's. And especially if it's an injury or, the bicyclist is, tragically killed, then you don't have any video or, anything other than other witnesses possibly. Sometimes there's video in neighboring houses that have been used to provide evidence, especially in the cases of hit and runs, to try and figure out who the driver was and try and track that down. But yeah, it's something that I've thought about for a couple years, and then after Frank died, I really thought about it even more so. I haven't made the purchase yet, but I'm pretty close. So
Now, as we talk about all this grim stuff, I want to throw out bike riding is not nearly as dangerous as we're perhaps making some new riders feel right now. Yes, there is some danger, but there's some danger in everything you do, and bike riding is actually a pretty safe sport compared to other forms of recreation. My last 3 injuries came from pickleball. So
yeah, so I've ridden over 100,000 miles, and I've ridden 5,000 miles a year the last 2 years, and over 4,000 miles the last 15 years. And I've had, like very few incidences at all. In fact, hardly anybody honks at me, though. Every time I say that, then I get honked at the next time I go out on my bike. But, so I feel relatively, and I'm also a league cycling instructor and teach people how to ride safely and position yourself on the roadway so you're more visible and all of that. And so I feel very safe and confident when I'm riding in traffic and riding my bike. And my normal bike ride is on quiet neighborhood roads and on Fall Creek Trail, which has very few road crossings, and in Fort Harrison State Park on the trails there. So, I have very few interactions with cars in general. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't decided yet to purchase the cyclic camera system yet. But that's probably what I would purchase, just because of what I've seen and its battery life and things like that. But yeah, and bicycling, bicycling is a lot of fun, which is why a lot of us bicycle. So, I got into bicycle advocacy because I get so much joy out of bicycling. I wanted everybody to be able to have the opportunity to experience that joy. And that still fuels why I'm involved with bicycling and bicycle advocacy. And, so one of the reasons why the Ride of Silence is important is we want to raise awareness to motorists to be safe, so that all of us can be safe when we're out bicycling. And, so we can enjoy things like the Bike to the 500 and Bike to Work Day and all of, the major Taylor Invitational. We want to be able to go out and enjoy riding our bikes and having that great social activity with other people outside. And especially in the time of COVID, it has been a lifesaver for me, for my sanity, is to get out on my bike. So, and the most fun and probably the most safe is if you're riding with more people. So you're more visible, and you also it's a lot more fun to ride with lots of other people. So we encourage you to come out to Ride of Silence, to Bike to the 500, to Bike to Work Day, to the Major Taylor Invitational, and any other bike events that you might want to participate in. So, anything else from anyone else?
Someone else had their hand up, but it looks like she dropped off.
All right. Yeah, I think she did. Oh well. All right. Well, we will end this for the evening. Thanks so much for joining. And I will see Sonya on Wednesday, and hopefully some of the rest of you. And we will have a great bike month the rest of the month. And we'll see you on.
thanks for doing this, Connie.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Here, bye.
Goodbye.